today I'm actually going to be starting a brand new character for the sake of anybody who has not played Final Fantasy XIV before. So, those of you who have not, you're going to get kind of an idea of what to expect, but not from a controller standpoint, as on PS4 I will be using mouse and keyboard, since it is something I would prefer. Now, I'm not going to actually use a character I have created, so we're actually going to use a new character altogether. And because I know a lot of you will probably want to see the full screen, plus I'm going to need to see my map. Unfortunately, that means I'm more than likely turning off the camera, so do forgive that piece. But to start out, let's see. For those who have not played Final Fantasy XIV, I'm going to give you kind of a rundown of the races. You have, I might be saying this wrong, but the higher, which are your humans, they weren't originally from Eorzea. They are travelers that came in from surrounding continents and islands. But they are one of their most eclectic races. You have the Elezen, who, and all for its intents and purposes, are your elves. They are the original sole inhabitants of Eorzea. They are the ones who originally came from there. However, they are very nomadic, but unlike traditional elves that you'll see in other games like WoW or even other Final Fantasies, they are very, very tall. Now, to offset this, you have the Lalafell, who are really short. They're really funny. They have very spry personalities. They're usually your peddlers to your travelers, who they're just a really fun race altogether. Now, we also have the Mikote, who are travelers as well. They are known for hunting, they are known for their keen senses, and so forth. Now, you also have the Rodon, which are actually one of my favorite of all the races in Final Fantasy XIV, next to the Aura, who came in with Heavensward and are supposedly said to be related to dragons. Now, we don't know if we're going to see much of them in Heavensward. I have not beat Heavensward, but they're supposed to be taking a major place in Stormblood, which is coming out this June. So to begin, let's see here. Let's definitely pick a race. So to start, since I don't have a Rodon, I'm definitely going to go with Rodon. Now, for each race, you do have two different origins from them. Like here you're seeing I have the Sea Wolves and the Heavensward. The Sea Wolves, as you can see, are not known for being on land. They are known for just what they sound like. They are seafaring. They love traveling in the waters. They usually come in as fishermen and fisherwomen. They are known for that lifestyle, whereas the Heavensward are from the more volcanic regions of Eorzea. They are known for this part of them. But because I like the idea of my Rodon having a slightly higher dexterity than 17, which right here you're seeing there's not much, we're going to actually go ahead and go with the Hellsword, or the Sea Wolves. So let's design him, because they are tall. Let's make him 89.7 inches. We're going to muscle him up a little bit more. I like the idea of a more grayish, chalk white Rodon. As you can see here, there's a lot of a lot of hairstyle options, clear down to giving him the what I call the poofy man bun. I mean, I could even do the really long ponytail just for a small few laughs. And they even have the pompadour, which is really, really funny. I kind of wish that was a all-around hairstyle, where you could even do it with the women, because that would be amazing. But for hair color, since purple is my favorite color, let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and give him purple color with some highlights. So to add a little bit of life to it, you know, purple is a pretty plain tone. Let's go with a kind of a reddish orange. Now, what's cool here is, unfortunately, unlike WoW, you don't get as many facial options, but you get a decent few. And because I really like the one that the game's already given me, but I've seen it used quite a bit, I'm gonna go with this guy. He just kind of has that been through battle look. But luckily, because I do want to change his jaw, I can do that. I can even change his eye shape. So I'm definitely doing that. Make his eyes a little wider. I can even change his irises from being really big, but I like the big irises on him, so. But actually, you know, as much as I do like what I was doing with his hair, we're actually, even though purple is my favorite color, because I am a redhead, let's go ahead and make him a redhead. Just for the sakes of doing so. So eyebrows, I can tweak a little bit. So we're actually going to do that. We're going to give him slightly more arched eyebrows. The same goes with noses. You can change how the nose works and arches. Since I like the Romanesque nose arch on him, that's what he's going to get. Now the mouth, as you can see, you do get to change the mouth, which unfortunately, because he doesn't exactly have a mouth design I like. Let's see. I'll go with this guy. He looks like he means some business. So even he has very similar mouths with styles to choose from. Here, of course, if you want, you could put lipstick on your character. That is entirely up to you. Or if you want to give their tone of accent so that their lips aren't as dark. But because I didn't want his lips matching, I'm gonna give him a dark shade just to give him a little bit more feature. Now, you can always also go through, add some nifty little designs, because I like the idea of him having a goatee. Or a beard, even. He's gonna keep the beard. Of course, you can add tattoos. You can unlock more later. I'm not big on those, so those won't be happening on him. Of course, as you can expect, you can get face paint. Which, I don't know if there's any I'm actually going to want. But clear down to giving him freckles and bruises and what have you. Even here, I can give him some markings. Now, I know some people will ask, if you decide not to do the character that you designed, can I keep my character? So, because I know that will get asked, we'll just call him Roy because it's a Rodon, which we're not going to say Roy 3. So we're going to save that data, and say you don't want to create that character, you can back out, go to new character, but it is showing a block scene, so it did cut out the video, which I apologize about. So say you've decided you want to go to another race. So, because Ora is the big one that a lot of people are probably going to switch to because of the upcoming expansions, especially since they are giving a bit more background. That's actually what we're going to go to. So we're going to choose... Zayla are the much darker... I think they're one of the cooler looking origins for the Aura. But you also have the Ryan, which I'm having a feeling this will definitely be describing something to do with their origin, especially once you've played into Heavensward. Now, just like before, you know, I like having a slightly paler character, so we're gonna go make him a little paler than normal. So we'll go down here to the tans. Now, because he does have a tail, I know some of you are going to be asking, can you change your character's tail shape? And yes, actually you can. You can even go down here, which this applies to any race with tails, and make the tail really long. So I like the idea of my character having a fairly long tail. He's going to get a fairly long tail. So we'll go through haircuts. As you can see, a lot of the haircuts that were with the Rodon are here, but there are some you can't get with the Rodon, such as this one. I haven't seen this one with the Rodon, especially since you can see the spikes coming out of his hairline. I mean, you've got these haircuts, even a Sephiroth-ish one, for those of you that are Sephiroth fans from Final Fantasy VII. Now, if you decide you want to see if there's other hairstyles, you can always go choose the other origin for that race, which I'll go ahead and show you, because there are other. You can even go to, say you don't want to have gray or black skin, you can actually choose that. Now, the tails will not change no matter which race within that race you choose. Now, these I don't recall getting. The Aura themselves don't get, like the Rodon and the others do, where they have other hairstyles that are hidden within their origin, or where they're from. But, regardless, we're going to find a cool hairstyle. Because I do like the idea of being Orion versus Zayla, or Rain, whichever is said. We're gonna go back to the Rain. As you see, it saved my previous customizations, which is really a nice feature to have. Unfortunately, with these guys, the face you choose does determine the horns you get. So if you don't have the horn you like, you're probably going to be stuck with that. But that doesn't bother. Because the Aura do have small eyes already. For hair color, I don't like it. We're giving them red. Kind of a reddish orange, really. Kind of that carrot top red. Again, just like before with the Rodon, you know, you can choose all your customizations from jaws to... You can see where it affects how the face is lined. The same with the eyes. Yeah, you saw the eye color. They have, what's nice about the Aura, they have this neat little feature called the Limbo Ring, which is basically an accent to their eye color. I usually try to go to a color near what I chose for their actual eye color, just to kind of accent it out a little bit. But you don't have to have it. You could actually turn that off anytime you unlock the Aesthetician, and change out your aesthetics a little bit. Which I will be changing the hairstyle, because that's not one I actually like on him. Because I do like this haircut, I'm going to stick with that. Now, because I am tired of seeing the crystal behind me. This kind of gives you an idea of what he's going to look like out in the open world. So we'll go with that to kind of decide from where I want to go. Just like before, I don't like the idea of his lips being the same exact color. I do like the idea of a little darker skin. We are going to... But just like the Rodon, you know, you can do face paints and whatnot, but because I don't like that, I'm not going to. But again, also, you know, other features, I can turn some of his scales on and off. I can change how his eyebrows are. Because I don't like the under-eye marks, we're going to turn those off. But I will be keeping the facial scales on, and even the tips to his horns. But again, like I said, there's no real makeup, especially because I don't like the idea that the face paint covers up his horns and the scales and just makes it look weird. Now, voices, unfortunately, because they don't affect the overall gameplay, we're not going to worry about his voice. And because I do like his appearance, I'm going to go ahead and... Actually, I'm not going to say this. Confirm. We'll do no. Now, here is what a lot of you are going to ask. What does this mean? So, the first astral moon, first umbral moon, these are all actually months of the year. So, you're seeing the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. So, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Pretty straightforward if you ask me. Now, I don't believe anybody... I don't know if there's anything actually special per se, but... I'll go with the 4th umbral moon for him. And let's give him... in August... Yeah, we'll do the 4th. Especially because that'll be right around... a little bit after the game comes out for Stormblood. Now, here is a little bit of a deal that you'll be interested in. This is your elemental attributes. Basically, from what I understand, how you react to certain elements versus others. So, we will definitely be looking... at these. So because I actually like the idea of Nafika, we're actually going to go with Nafika, even though she's for Gridania, which it says right there, is the Guardian of Gridania, which is one of the major cities in 14. Now here, we actually have several classes you can choose from. As you see, you have your physical characters, which are the Disciples of War, which your Gladiator's a tank, your Marauder's a tank, and later on, there's actually another tank you can unlock called the Dark Knight, which I do have unlocked on my other character, who's at the very end of the base Heavensward before the post-game patches. Here you also have three caster classes. 2 of these can act like healers, which is your Conjurer and your Arcanist. These 2 can double up. Now the Conjurer, what's really cool about the Conjurer is it turns into the White Mage, the one that actually is a direct healer later on and can heal your team like no tomorrow. The Arcanist doubles up as a summoner as well as a healer depending on which route you go. So regardless, Conjurer is going to get to level 15 before you'll ever see your healing class for Scholar come out, which is what the Arcanist becomes aside from Summoner. Then you have your Thaumaturge, for those of you who are curious, that are your Black Mages at higher levels. So level 30, you turn into a Black Mage. So for those who like Vivi, he's going to be able to go to. Now here you have the Lancer, who later on turns into a Dragoon. You have the Gladiator, which I believe, turns into Paladin. So you'll definitely be tanking. You'll be kind of the go-to guy for your team. You have the Marauder, which is your two-handed tank, who basically does the same thing. And then you have your Pugilist, which is your monk, who is all out about their fist weapons. And then you also have your archer, who turns into the bard. But because I actually didn't play a tank starting out, I will probably actually go with a gladiator on this character. Actually, we'll go with... yeah, why not? We'll go with the gladiator. I haven't played a gladiator to high level, so that sounds like something we can do. Now, if you're wondering, at any time, you can actually go back and change your class. So those of you who want to play a Lancer, you can do that anytime. Those of you who want to play Paladin at high levels at any time can. So we're going to confirm that we are going to play. Now, I am going to play on the Stormer I particularly play on, which is Midgard Stormer on the Aether. So we're going to confirm that we want to be on Midgard Stormer. And it should say right there, World Midgard Stormer. So that's where we're going to go. As you can see here, it says Class Gladiator, which means we're going to start in Ul'dah, which is one of the most interesting cities because I don't have a specific name for this character. We're going to let the game choose us. Yeah, we'll go with Shinto Mizuhiki. So, we're going to play... my character's going to be Shinto, so we're going to let the game create it. We're going to begin a new game with said character. Unfortunately, this game will be blocking out some of the stuff. Video scenes, loading scenes, so forth. So you may not get to see it all, but you will get to see some decent amount of the game, which regardless is fun. Now, for the sake of spoilers, because I have seen this story, I'm not going to watch the video clips, just because I know a lot of you are going to be new to the game. Now, you do have two options in here, which I went through real quick, because I am using mouse and keyboard. I'm going to be deactivating the tips as well, because again, I play this game already, I'm rather experienced in what I'm doing. So, we're going to go ahead and skip through, like I said, all the video clips, start, and so forth. At least the major video clips, so you have an idea of what's going on. And also, so that when you play the story, you're not going to feel as if the game is spoiled for you if you decide to play. Because I do have a special setup I'll use. We'll do teleport. I don't want return. And yes, for those wondering, I do have mail, especially because I do have special added bonuses for owning the game. And I have Stormblood pre-ordered, so I should have some Stormblood goodies coming pretty quick. Now, basically all this is she's going to be explaining what's going on with the struggles of Ul'dah, but because again, I do want you guys to and gals to experience the story as if you hadn't, you are basically going to be seeing a little bit of gameplay that does not involve, again, pivotal roles. Now, for those of you wondering, Ul'dah is struggling because they do have some stuff going on, especially with a race of creatures called the Amalja. They do have some issues with the Garlean Empire, which you will see quite a bit against them later in the game. Now, because I have played this a decent amount, as I said earlier, we will go ahead and skip through some of the stuff. Now, for those of you wondering, there is a deal over here you can come to, especially if you're brand new to the game, which I'm going to go ahead and show you this. This wasn't here when I first started, and I would like it. They're called the Smiths, and what they do is they help new players work through the game. Now, he is not the one that we would talk to for the Smiths to benefit us as much. So we're not going to worry about undergoing his quest line. So what we're going to do is just what Momodi asked, which is do close to home, which you can see right here. She wants us to tune ourselves to the Aetheryte inside the city. So for those of you starting in Ul'dah, all you're going to do is go right down here. You'll notice the Flame Lieutenant over here, which will give you an idea of where you need to be, especially if you're new. Go right down here. As you can see, there's a decent sized crowd gathered in front of the Aetheryte. We're going to attune. Just as you'd expect, this will bring us into a little cutscene where, of course, we're going to meet one of the Flames, which are Ul'dah's protectors. They are their special guardians, their major guild, or, yeah, we'll say guild, because that's technically what they are. This guy is basically giving us a little bit of a backstory behind the Aetheryte and what it does. Especially because the Aetherites do use what's called transportation magic. As you can remember, there was an ability down on my bar right here that I removed called Return. Return lets you return to the Aetheryte at any time for free. Teleport, depending on where you're going, does cost you some money. But because I have not learned Teleport just quite yet, we can't do much with it. Now, because I do have to visit the Gladiators Guild, you guys are going to be wondering where to do that. Now, one thing that is helpful, at any time, if you are lost, you can come up here to zoom out, or if you're on a mouse and keyboard setup like myself, you can hit M, which will bring up the minimap. If you're on controller, all you do is hit square, it'll bring up your minimap. So we're going to go ahead and go down into the Colosseum, which there are multiple ways to get around every city for those of you wondering. You don't have to do just the way I'm doing. So over the course of who knows how many videos, you'll definitely be seeing us here at Blast Away the Game Review going through multiple steps. Now, because I am a gladiator, again, we're going to talk to the Gladiator Guild Receptionist for our quest. Which, just as you expect, you know, we're going to join the gladiators, so I'm going to skip through. So I should be getting a quest, yeah, right here called Way of the Gladiator, which will allow me to officially become a gladiator at any time. So we'll go over here, talk to the guild master. And basically what she's going to do is give us a rundown of what the gladiators are about. So, they all have their own story. So every time you do a class quest, you're getting a story inside your own class, which serves as a true story. So you're learning quite a bit about your character, as well as the job in which you undertook when you chose that job. Versus. Now, if you're wondering what these little guys are, These are side quests for those of you who have not played. So say you're behind, you need to level up some before you can continue your main story. That's the place to go, and that's the place that you're going to become rather familiar with over time. Now, in Ul'dah, you heard me say there's ways to teleport around the town. So what we're going to do before we get too far is we're going to tune to pretty much every aetheryte that we can, because there are a lot of aetherytes in each town. This basically will allow me, or even yourself, if you decide again to join Final Fantasy XIV, whether it's for Heavensward's expansion or even Stormblood, you're going to want to attune to any of these that you can. The best thing to do is get it out of the way as quick as possible, where you don't find yourself coming back and going, I wish I had this later on, this is a pain in the rear, why didn't I do this before? So we're actually going to get this out of the way now. So we'll go down here to where basically the outdoor market is, which, for those of you wondering what these guys are, if you've played Final Fantasy XIV before it was rebooted, you can go there and get Calamity stuff. And that's here before Calamity, which is armor, weapons, memorabilia, that kind of stuff. Glamour even, if you want to glamour some of your gear to look like the older equipment. Which you'll be learning quite a bit about the Calamity, since it does play a really big role in this game's story. Now, because our quest is down here, as you can see, we gotta talk to Cirsagosa. So we're going... Cesaroga. So we're gonna talk to Cesaroga. And Cesaroga is basically giving us a rundown of what the markets are. Now, because you are going to learn basically what the markets are, I'm going to skip this, because even though it's one of those you can look at any time to figure out what it is, I'm not going to ruin that experience for new players. But one thing we can do is, if we wanted to, we could actually go back to the quicksand, which is where Momodi is, which is where the main quest is. But we're not going to do that. We're actually going to do the Gladiator Guild quest. As you can see here on my map, there's a bunch of these little crosses right here, which are essentially what we're going to be going after. Not all the creatures that we want are going to be in a single area, so we're not going to go after them all at one time. So instead, we're just going to go ahead and take out this guy. Come over here. As you see, we need Hornets, Snapping Shrews, and Marmots. So that's actually what we're going to do. Now, unlike the other classes that deal damage, the Gladiator is not going to be able to deal high amounts of damage because he's actually a tank and not a damage dealer. So we'll get our last Marmot, which is right here. Now this ability is just our basic attack, so that's all we're doing. This is basic attacking right now. But because we do have a new ability, which is called Rampart, which reduces my damage taken, I am going to be using this ability quite a bit. So we'll get our last Hornet. Now we're going to have to travel a little ways down this hill, go over here. As you see, it is night out, which unfortunately means, well, it may not be night. Yeah, it is. According to the game's dilly, the sun's not quite up at the moment. Or rather, it is day, but we're dealing with a dust storm. After all, we are in a desert, so dust storms are likely. So we need one more of these guys. Once we get one more of these, we can actually go turn on our quest. Now, if you are wandering around and you see these purple things on your map and you're approaching those quickly, those are called B.A.T.G.R. B.A.T.G.R are essentially a way to get some XP on the side as you venture through your quest, especially if you're the right level for them. So definitely keep your eyes out for those. They will serve importance later on. Since I do use the chat occasionally, we are going to expand the chat size. And I want to make it a little taller. There we go. Now that we got our quest done for the Way of the Gladiator, which of course is our job, and here you're going to see we're going to get a neat little gift. This is our quest completion reward. We're going to get a Marmot steak, which will help with our skill speeds, meaning quicker cooldowns. We'll have some vitality and accuracy. Accuracy being our chance to hit without missing, so that's definitely going to, as a tank, that'll definitely serve an important role. So we're going to go back to the Gladiators Guild and turn this in. Run past this nifty little Dark Knight right there. Oop, almost ran into a wall. And of course, we can always sprint if we want to. Now, you are probably noticing some frame rate issues here. Even on the PS4 Pro, the game is not the sturdiest as far as performance goes. So, because we are at the Gladiators Guild Aetheryte, this puts us right in front of the Gladiators Guild, right here, as you can see with the two swords crossed. So we're going to go in and talk to Milla, turn our quest to her. Now, you just saw her mention something called the hunting log. The hunting log is essentially a way for you to get some XP. So if you want to hunt some, say, little ladybugs, we can go over to Western Tantaland, kill some ladybugs, and get some XP that way. We can hunt down some other creatures that are in there. But for now, we're actually not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and go to talk to Mamodi and turn in our quest. Or Mamadi, I can't. Yeah, Mamodi. I never say this right. But wrong way. We were going to the plains. Now, if you're wondering, you do get some better looking gear later on. You even get chocobos and for mounts and some other really cool stuff. So you'll see all that here pretty soon. So we'll talk to the proprietress, turn in our quest. As you know, she's going to give us a hard time for possibly getting lost. But also, this game does serve a purpose. Is we do earn gil, which is our currency in game, just like gold and WoW, gold, bronze, gold, silver, and gold. But because we can't do anything further for that main quest, which we can't do until, let's see here. So we can't do We Must Build till level 4. So what we can do till level 4, I know some of you are going to go, what is there to do till level 4? I don't have any quest. Remember that little hunting log that we got right here? This is what's going to help us get to level 4. So we're actually going to go do our hunting log of all things. Now, if you're curious to where to get your mail from, you come over here to this delivery Moogle. They are in pretty much every town and every camp. So we are going to get our rewards. I get a potion of Fantasia. So, because I've got that letter, I'm going to delete it. So we're going to get our gifts from this one. These are all just basically thank yous for playing the game. Again, you know, we are getting some stuff for me having renewed again. You know, behemoth mounts and all that fun stuff. So if you're wondering what to do with that stuff, what you're going to do is go in here. A lot of this you can use, like the wind-up cursor, the beady eyes, the black mage barding I can use. When I get a chocobo, I can put it on there and dress him or her in it, depending on what the gender is. So we're going to use all these, get them all learned. So now you're wondering, how do mounts work? Especially because I now have a mount at low level. Well, just as you would expect, you go over to here to mount guide, don't do what I did and close it. Place your mount down here in this corner, and voila. Now, right now, because I am in town, I cannot summon my behemoth. It's not allowed. But we're not worried about that at this moment. What we're actually going to be worried about is, you see this hunting guide that I talked about, so we're going to push H to open it. We're going to go hunt star marmots, or even cactars, or ladybugs. We're going to do this because we need the XP. So we want to go to Western Tantalon. So we're going to look at our map. Western Tantalon's over here, so it's this gate. So what we're going to do is go to Western Tantalon. We're going to take out some ladybugs, get some XP, get to level 4 before we can continue the main scenario. The main scenario, if you are wondering what that is actually your overall quest line. So we're going to go out here, get some XP and some achievement points for unlocking Western Tantalon. As you can see here, chocobos are all over the place with the guards and the proprietors. Now, because it is night, it is going to be a little darker outside, but that's okay. We don't mind the dark. This game doesn't do anything unlike Final Fantasy XIV, where it throws out bigger and badder enemies at night. So we are going to take out these marmots. It's 3 of these per hunting log, so we're going to get the 3 marmots. There's 2. Now, one way to know if they're for your hunting log is, you can see this almost crescent moon over them. That means they're for your hunting log. So that's one way you, even if you're just doing quests at high level, that'll help you identify what enemies you need to be taking out. But because we are intent on leveling up quicker so that we can get to the higher quests quicker, we're actually going to do a decent amount of this hunting log, especially because there's 2,500 XP for completing this log, which, as you can see at this level, that is a full level. So we could quite easily hit a moderately high level. Now, the only thing that is going to be a slightly harder is later on, you'll see in rank 2, we're not going to be just in Tantalon taking out enemies. We're actually going to have to travel to Limsa, Lamenta. We're going to have to travel to Gridania and some of those surrounding areas to unlock that stuff. So we're not going to worry about those quite yet. Now, as you can see, I'm still unauthorized to enter a mount, and this is something you shouldn't worry about. You can't enter your mounts until you've unlocked mount riding. So because we don't have it, it's not a big deal. Again, we have teleport and recall for that occasion, so we're not worried. Mount riding comes soon enough as it is. Right around the time we unlock our chocobos at level 15. So we're going to take out these cactars. As you can see, again, we only need one more. And this should put us at level 4, which will let us go talk to Momodi, so that we can continue our story. So as you can see, cactars are done. I've unlocked a new trait called combos. Now, because there are a few classes that do combos, we definitely will need to read that, but because I have done it, I personally don't need it, but I do know if you are new to the game, it will be very helpful. Now, as you can see here, we're still in Western Tantalin. We could actually go take out the Hammer Beaks, which aren't too far from here, so if you are interested in taking out Hammer Beaks, all you have to do is basically go out here, just run around, you'll find Hammer Beaks. They're these Velociraptor looking things. They are a little bit higher level than us, but that is not a big deal. So, you know what, let's just take one out and show you how a combo works. So combo here, you see I have a deal called Enmity. That is actually how I gain aggro as a tank. Enmity is a very important role, and I can actually show you that here pretty soon on my other character, which is a tank, so you'll definitely get to see how enmity works. But again, we're not going to do that at this point. We are playing a new character for the sole purpose of introducing you to the world of Final Fantasy XIV. So, right now, we're just going to, as I said, take out some Hammer Beaks, get a little more XP, so that when we complete our next main scenario quest, we don't have to worry about, hopefully, as much as a cooldown between quests. But because I do need one more Hammer Beak, we're going to go ahead and take out the other one that was right beside this. So, now we have that done. You can go to your hunter log, and it's going to tell you how close we are. We're at 12 of 33 targets. Now, if we want to, we can go down, and we can continue hunting. But, the question is, should we? Well, if the targets are nearby, like I am lucky right here with this Earth Sprite, the answer is more than likely yes. Just because of the fact, again, it's a decent amount of XP. And you're not going to have as much downtime between your quest lines. So definitely, if you can, get some of your hunting log done, get a little bit ahead of the level requirement for your main scenario quest so that you don't find yourself doing what I had happen my first time through, which is I was stuck, unable to quest for a while because I did not get slightly ahead of the main scenario quest line level requirement. So we're going to take out the Earth Sprite right here. Again, this is just simply so we can get the XP, get slightly ahead. Now, chain bonus, if you're wondering what that is, that's actually an XP bonus for taking out X amount of enemies quicker than that timer. So, because I have 15 seconds left, I'm probably not going to get another 10% XP boost. not a big deal. So we're not going to worry about that at all. Instead, we're just going to take out this Earth Sprite. Which again, you know, the hunting log right here shows Earth Sprite, that's 1000 XP. That'll put me at level 5. As you can see, not all this is going to take place in Western Thanalan. Which, for those of you who don't want to spend a lot of time in Western Thanalan, that's good. But because we hit level 5, and here's the bonus to this, the kicker, is we can now go do our level 5 class quest. Which is awesome because that means, again, less downtime between quest lines for you. But because I do want to boost, let's go ahead and get some food in his stomach. As you see, I got a well-fed bonus, which again is the meal benefits for XP, skill speed, vitality, and accuracy. Now, because I did take off the return from my bar, we're going to go ahead and unlock the bar, move sprint over, put return down on here. If you're wondering what these do, right now, unfortunately, these do nothing except for this one. Which, all this does is, as you can see on my screen, pops up a random minion, which is the wind-up cursor from the old Final Fantasy games, which is pretty darn awesome if you ask me. Now, again, quest lines like this will unlock something. So, if you're curious what these do, this will unlock a place called the Goblet, which is a housing. So because we aren't going to worry about housing, that is something that this character will not be concerned about. We're going to go ahead and wander back into Thanalan, but the way we're going to go back to Ul'dah is we're actually going to go ahead and return to the Steps of Null. Now, one thing you need to realize is it does have a really big cooldown, 900 seconds cooldown. So you can only return once every 5 minutes, which is about on par with World of Warcraft's Hearthstones, for those of you that played WoW. But because of that, we're not going to be using that overly, just a lot. We're not going to use that a lot because of that. Now, because we do got to go to the Gladiators Guild and talk to Momodi, the first thing we'll do is we're going to go talk to Momodi and unlock our quest. Now, because I do want to set this as my home point, it is already set there, so that's not a big deal. We're going to go ahead and go to the Gladiators Guild. Now, what a home point is, for those of you who are not familiar, it's your ability to return right here to that specific place of interest at any given time, especially if you die, so you'll go back there if you die. We're going to go ahead and not worry about that, since that was taken care of for us. Instead, we're going to actually grab our next quest from Mila, which she's basically given us a rundown of what we're doing. So we actually need to go outside of the quicksand and basically tell Marauders to / face me. So you will be or to face / me. So we will have to use our emotes off and on. But again, I know you remember these things I talked about with the Aetherites. So we're going to go to the Ul'dah Aetherite Plaza. Before we do this quest, we're actually going to go ahead and grab our next main scenario quest from Momodi. Now, if you're wondering if I plan on getting any heavy armor, that will come later in. As you can see, this armor does give me some defenses, it just no strength, that kind of thing. Now, I can, if wanted to, go ahead and do this quest. Since they are right here, we're actually going to go ahead and do this quest line, especially for these ill-mannered Marauders. So we're going to click him, type /me to get his attention. So because he is a ill-mannered Marauder, which you can see he walks away, decides to leave the guy that he was tormenting alone. we're gonna go do the same thing to this one that's apparently over here doing something to someone, which you can see that he's got an old all citizen kind of bummed out, so we're gonna take care of him as well. Yes, we're talking to you, you pain in the butt, Seawolf. So with his body out of the way, we can rest assured that this old all citizen won't be as tormented by him. Which we're going to do the same thing with this mocking Marauder, which we could pretty much assume that he's making fun of this chicken mocking her. Again, you know, he is being lewd. So we are going to take care of him and get him out of here. We're even going to make this menacing Marauder leave this poor Lalafell alone. So let's make him leave the Lalafell alone. Because again, Lalafell are cute, they're adorable, and they're absolutely tiny. Now, since we got them taken care of, we now need to go inside the quicksand, which works as a double agenda because we actually got to talk to Momodi anyways to get our next quest line. So we will slash me this guy, Farmerl. We're gonna make him leave this poor Lalafell alone, which looks like we're gonna get a cutscene because, you know, we're gonna meet some new cast members, which is this gentleman right here. As you can imagine, this guy does play an important role to us. So, as you can tell, this guy is very Farmerl is very knowledgeable of who this gentleman is. And he's going to scare him off, which we already can tell he's a gladiator. So, it's safe to assume at this point he will be playing a huge role for our gladiator. So, as you can see, he's calling the Rodon a Lamentum, which is quite usual for them since they hail from Limsa. So, because that's taken care of, we will need to eventually go over to Modi, talk to her about all that crap that just happened. Which means now we have to report to Mila. But before we do, you can see here, we are going to talk to Modi and get this main story quest. Because again, we do need it, but because I do want you all to experience this story, I am going to go ahead and skip through this. I have done all this. I do know the story up to now, where I'm at in the game. So, we're going to go ahead and go to the nearest Aetheryte, which we need to attune to the one right outside of Quicksand, right here, outside the Adventurers Guild. So because we have that, we can now use it to go to the Adventurers Guild and move back and forth across the law just a bit quicker. But because we are not done with this quest line yet, you can tell that Milo wants us to go deal with this guy. But because we do have to head into this zone here pretty quick anyways, we're actually going to go ahead and head over into Central Tantalin. But before we do, if you are curious, there are vendors in this strip like her, who is a jeweler. She does sell jewelry, especially for once you hit the right levels, so 28, 29, you can unlock earrings and rings. She'll be the person to talk to if you haven't already gotten some. So definitely keep that in mind if you decide to start adventuring in 14. So, we're going to go ahead and head back to the Aetheryte, just like before. But because our quests do take place in Central Tantalin, we're going to go ahead and do both of these at the same time. So we are going to make sure that Marl's taken care of, and we're also going to go talk to Papa Sean. As you can see there, here, Ul'dah does suffer with some issues, especially from those who have traveled from Alamigo looking for safety within Ul'Dah's walls, which is not happening, so they have basically tent cities set up outside the city. And if you remember, we have this little hunting log, so if we keep our eyes out, we got to take out some snapping shrews at the Spineless Basin. Which means we can actually get a little bit more XP while we're questing, which can put us about level 6. So again, we are going to talk to Papa Sean, go through our discussion with him, and we're going to complete his quest line. But because we do have more quests we can do, which is the level 5 quest, we're going to go ahead and accept it from him. And he does want us to run an errand, find some comfort food, and also, make his guards feel a little more at home. So we're going to get that out of the way real quick. So we'll get this guy some yummy pretzels, hand them over. Since he's got some food, we're going to go ahead and find the other two, which as you can see right here, nothing to see here. We have 2 of these guys left to feed. Because this one over here is close enough, we'll go ahead and sprint over here. Run past the little adorable Wallopels because they are obscenely adorable. Now, as you can see here, you remember I said we have a hunting log. But you go down here, we do, which again, this symbol shows off snapping shrews. So, for 410 XP, which will put us right at almost leveling, we're going to go ahead and take out the snapping shrew for the XP. We've got 3 of these guys, so those 2 will be the upcoming targets. If you remember, I talked about combos, so if you play a melee class, definitely keep your combos in mind. But because we do have the guy that we got to give a pretzel right here, let's give him a yummy pretzel. Now I want pretzels. So we gave him his pretzel. So now we're gonna go ahead and start beating on some more snapping shrews. So with those taken care of, as you can see, like I said, that would put us at almost level 6. We're now going to go feed this last patrol guard, give him his comfort food, and give him a pretzel, which I'm very jealous of that he's getting, because, again, it's a really, probably yummy pretzel. So we gotta go up here. He's probably under this tree, if I recall correctly. But again, you can imagine being out in a desert. This is probably pretty close to as comfortable as you're gonna get. So let's give this dude a pretzel, just like the other two. And as you can imagine, he's already complaining about the heat, so we know it's hot in Tantalin. But again, you know, it looks like the middle of a desert, so there's that. Hey, Mr. Tortoise, don't eat me! Don't eat me, Mr. Tortoise! It really will if I attack it. But remember, we do have stuff that we gotta hunt, so we're gonna be keeping our eyes out while we're in Central Tantalin for B.A.T.G.R and Shell Sweepers, as well as Spriggan Grave Robbers. Just to kind of get that little bit of XP going, especially since that XP adds up very quickly. And thanks to my buddy Zach, I've learned the quest logs aren't a bad idea. As you can see here, again, it's nice to have that XP, so we just leveled up. Even unlocked new tank ability. So we helped Papa Sean, you know, give his guy some food. But because I did say that I was going to skip these kind of scenes, we are actually going to. I want, again, for everybody who does play the game to experience the story themselves. So I'm trying to cut out some of the most important roles. So, again, we're going to take off, ignore the fact that we do have that. And we're actually going to go and do this kicking the hornet's nest. As you can see here, it's at the Scorpion's Crossing. To figure out where it is, you are going to want to click your map, the little map symbol. It'll tell us that it's over here in Western Tantalin. So we have two options that we could take. We can recall, which again is a 900-second cooldown, or we can watch our map right here, which you can see Western Tantalin's not too far up ahead, and it'll actually take us near Blackbrush Station, which Blackbrush Station, we're going to go ahead and wander up there, grab that Aetheryte attunement so that we can travel back at any time using the recall, the teleport system. So we're going to run past all these Orobons. We're actually going to be following pretty much this Thaumaturge right here. As you can tell, if you ever are curious to what's going on with somebody else's character, you can always look up their character right here, which this dude's apparently made his aura, you know, a different color. But if you remember right, I mentioned we had some creatures we had to look out for in the hunt log, which is these dudes right here. Let's take this bugger out. We are going to use the Fireflight buff buff. So because it is a buff, it's going to go on that top row with Rampart up there. So we got to take out two more of these guys. Come on, Mr. Antling, you can't stand forever. One more to kill, and we got that out of the way. So now that we've got that part of the hunt lock out, which, as you can see, Antling Worker got a little bit of XP for it. We're going to go ahead and head down, like I said, to Blackbrush Station. We're going to get this Aetheryte. Then we're going to head into Western Tantalin and do the Kicking the Hornet's Nest. Especially because it gives us our first weapon upgrade, which is a Bronze Bastard Sword. And if you're curious what it looks like, there you go. You can actually try on. If you want to display your gear, just click the Display Gear button. Especially if you don't want to see your character in their whitey tighties. So we'll attune here. Now this is where teleport comes in. If you remember right, I said we had this nifty little ability that'll let us teleport. As you see here, there it is. We can go to Ul'dah or we can go to Black Brush Station now at any time. But it does cost skill, so keep that in mind, especially if you plan on using it quite a bit, which, in late game, I'm going to warn you, it will become one of your best friends. So keep that definitely in mind, and make sure to at least keep a distinct amount. So, because I do have these little buggers, and they are in this fate, we're actually going to join this fate, especially since we're at the right level for it. I'm going to pop both of my buffs. Again, this is all because these have really good XP in them. Since we got those 3 out of the way that we needed, that we did get the hunting log, but because even though we got the hunting log, I'm going to go ahead and stay for this fate just to get the XP. So we're actually going to help these 2 brass blades finish taking out these key-kern shell sweepers. Now, one thing that will happen, and this is intentionally, is you do not be afraid that the B.A.T.G.R will die. Yeah, it does suck. There is a KO guide on Active Help about dying. Now, it will happen quite frequently, especially if you are not a healer class. So one thing to keep in mind is you have these potions. These things will become one of your best friends. So don't feel bad if you die. It happens. You saw it happen to me. So for now, we're going to go ahead and continue on to do that quest for our leader of the gladiators, Milla. So, as you can imagine, we're going to go ahead and go over here. Now, I am going to work on the transparency because, again, not a huge fan of my map being extremely transparent. It apparently is not going to cooperate at this time. But, well, since I at least know where I need to go, we're going to go ahead and go there. As you can see, it's right there, kicking the hornet's nest, so we're just going to go down to that little area where we've been before. If you have not and you actually are enjoying the music, I definitely suggest go on YouTube and listen to the full soundtrack. It is beautiful and outstanding, and I really wish I could get my hands on it for those of you who are tuning into the live stream / archive video. I would definitely suggest giving it a whirl. So we are going to be searching for witnesses, as you just saw. But before we do that, we're actually going to go here to the merchant mender. We're going to repair. Even though there's not a lot of damage, it kind of gives you an idea that you will have to maintain your equipment throughout the game. So we are finding those merchants' goods, and as you'd expect, those marauders we had to deal with earlier are out here, so we're definitely going to end up having to take them out. But because I didn't get out of the way in time, you actually saw me take some damage from his ability. when you see the yellow outlines like that had where it was the arch, that's the area he's going to attack. You're going to want to get out of that before anything bad happens, which, again, I will get on a high-level character here soon to show you why that is so important. No matter what class job you are, it is an extremely important deal to make sure you get out of an enemy's abilities. Whether he's about to die or not, still try to get out of the way so you don't take any damage. Now that I got all of the merchant's goods, we're going to return to him, which inevitably it's probably going to have us also return to Mila at the Gladiators Guild. So we're going to hand over his goods because, again, we don't want to carry them around anyways, not all day. And just as I said, we're going to end up reporting to Mila. Now we are going to use... We aren't using, I should say, the feature to teleport. It is 192 gil. If you look at our gil, we don't exactly have a lot. Plus, it's only a little bit of a run to go up the hill, or we can, again, do the return to Ul'dah. So we're going to actually just return to Ul'dah using the return feature. So now that we're back in Ul'dah, we are gonna... Oh, I got ahead of myself. We are gonna actually use the Aetheryte. Go to the Aethernet, and again, Gladiators Guild. Because we are turning in our quest, we're gonna get our armor. And some XP, which, again, we all like XP, we like armor, so, you know, it's a win-win situation. Plus, you know, we're gonna hit level 7, which again puts us ahead of the main scenario quest line. So we are going to, we have a choice here between armor, which as you see, I do get a +8 physical defense, but I am losing some magic defense. But I'm gaining strength and parry. Here, strength and dexterity. Here, some strength and dexterity, and some more strength and dexterity. But because I do like the idea of having some parry, especially for my defenses, we're going to take the custom-made cuirass and have some armor. Now to equip it, we will need to go to the armory chest, go over here, and voila. Now, you can click the recommended gear option, which it's telling us this bronze bastard sword is our best option, so we are going to switch our weapons. And it's telling us we have the best equipped gear, so we're good there. So now, we're going to go ahead and go do our quest for Papa Shan over in Central Tantalin, which... we are going to just run out to this Aethernet shard. We'll go to the Ul'dah Aetheryte Plaza. And we're just going to run to Central Tantalin again. Now that we have our new hulking armor of badassery, we'll go ahead and go out there. But you know, these level 60s probably make us look like chumps. Which, yeah, this bard just alone makes us look like a chump. So we're not exactly badasses at this point. We'll get there eventually. You know, even this guy right here from the Free Company Sleep looks pretty wild. Especially as a monk. So now that we're in Western Tantalin, if you remember right, I said that's where we were going. We're going to go help Papa Shan. Find Lilira over at the Sultan Tree. So, because the Sultan Tree is over this way, we are going to go ahead and head that way. Now, one thing I did do is I unlocked my compass, because even though I can make it so it's static at all times, it gives us an idea of where we're going without ever turning it, but I like the idea of knowing if I'm going the right way or not. At all times. As you can see, you know, north is this way, east went this way, south went that way, and west is over here. So that's the Sultan Tree where we're headed. Well, did not mean to hit that staff extrude, so we'll just sheath our sword and just run. Even though Shinto would probably want to stay and fight and, you know, show off his badassery. Now, one thing I did forget to do, which I'm going to apologize ahead of time, I forgot to shut off my notifications for this, so we are actually going to shut off display notifications and continue forth. So we have this Hooded Lalafell, which is Lyra, and she's at the Sultan Tree. So we are going to proceed on this quest, but because it is a quote-unquote duty-bound quest, an instance battle, as you can see it calls it here, we're not going to be going in and
hallowed spirit
do that.
Of my life,
now, because this is a major cutscene and it does play a role into the main story, we're not going to watch the video clip. Instead, we're just going to fight this demon thing, and we're going to help this handsome stranger, which you will find out who he is later on, so do not feel obligated to try to sit here and figure it out just yet. As you already imagined, this fight is going to take a bit, especially since I am a tank. So I'm not going to be doing just a lot of damage right out of the chute. So we'll take out Blanca and then continue forth where they want us to go. But because we do have some guests that I think our handsome stranger wasn't expecting, we're going to take them out while he deals with the bigger problem. Just as you saw, he requested we take out the small ones, don't worry about the big ones. So we're going to, now that the small ones are taken out, we're going to go back over here and help him. Of course, as you can imagine, we are going to get healed up. Now that we do have small creatures again, we're going to go ahead and take care of these once more while Handsome Stranger takes them out. So while he's taking care of that big one, as you can tell, he's doing a decent number to it. Again, we're taking out these small fries for him, so he doesn't have to worry about them killing him. You know, he dies, we fail. We die, we fail. So let's go ahead and crack the potion and get back at full health. We'll use Firefly to help us deal the damage we need. And then we're going to join him once more back on the normal block and take it out. And now that that's done, the quest is completed. We helped the Handsome Stranger take out a menace. And our duty is complete, which means the quest itself is complete. Which again, you know, a cutscene, so we are going to skip this where you yourself can experience this for the first time. So with that completed, we do have to go back to Papa Sean over here at the rail yard. And what we'll do is we'll turn that in and get our XP, but also we're going to get a nifty little amount of gil, so it's not a huge loss. I do recommend for beginners, you don't spend a lot of your gil, save it up. It will come in hand later on. Don't make the mistake I did, which is I spent a lot of gil really fast working on my crafting and my sub jobs where I can make gear. Worry about those later on. Just worry about completing your main scenario, and then from there I would definitely say your crafting jobs will come in hand. So because again, this is a mini cutscene, we are going to skip it. As you can tell, if you remember, I talked about this thing called free companies. Because we are not going to be joining one at this time, we're going to hit no. we aren't going to decline it yet. What we'll do is we'll go to details to figure out what they are about. They're called the Cookie Monster Club. They are a respected free company. As you see, they are focused on everything, quite a bit of literally everything, clear down to raids and trials and guild heists. You know, they are seeking everything. They do have an open recruitment at any time. We can always submit an application. They were founded fairly recently, just a couple days ago. But because we are not interested in looking for them, we are going to decline. Now, one that we can do if we decide to join a free company is, I do have one that I really do enjoy. So we're going to, just to kind of give a list, an idea, what we're going to do is, since I don't have any friends list, they do not move across my characters, so we're going to go to search conditions. And we'll look up, just for the sake of looking it up, we're going to go ahead and search for everything. Because Rika is on, this is the free company my main character is part of, we're going to go ahead and send a tell. And I'm going to inform Rika of who I am, because Rika does not know this character. We're going to tell her what this character is about, or him, I don't know which Rika is. And give them an idea of what it is, where I can introduce you to free companies. So this is a YouTube character. We're going to inform them this is a YouTube video character to help introduce new players to Final Fantasy XIV. And all this is because I do know who Rika Fujishima is. I did ask him, you know, properly, can I get a clan invite to the free company that I'm a part of on my main character, which you will see. And this is just simply because it's proper to go ahead and introduce who I am, what I'm doing, and give them an idea where they know that's what's going on. So, I'm not going to keep the deal above my head. I'm changing that. But the one thing is, I am going to change a UI setting, especially because in the chat, I don't want the general having that bright purple, because I can barely see it for myself. So we're actually going to turn purple, our tells, to a darker purple, something a little more suitable for my eyesight. But also the general, so log text goes, we're also going to change, say, the yell. I like the idea of having the yellow it is, but I want party to be a darker blue. So we're actually going to go up here, turn party to that, because emotes will be fairly close to it, as you can see. So emotes, we'll go over here. We're going to turn emotes red, just because I'd rather know what they are. And party itself, instead of that kind of, we're going to turn party a dark blue. So we have chat, which is the link shell. Link shells I prefer to be green, so we're going to turn, actually we'll leave link shell like it was. So we're definitely going to, we're actually going to reset those to the way they were. But unfortunately when I did that, it reset everything. So again, we're going to, I will keep shouts the same. Tells again, we'll go to the dark purple. But we're also, this is just one of those kind of for the sake of enjoying. Again, emotes is going to go slightly darker. Yells will stay where they're at. I like that. But we will go over here to free company, because I do highly enjoy my free companies. I like having free company a green. It just kind of helps. Wow, did it right. It helps see the free company, or the guild as they call it, and make it so it's really easy to enjoy and easy to see. Since we haven't heard back from Rika about what's going on, we're going to go ahead and just quest for now, and we'll go over free companies on my other character if I have to switch over. He or she is probably AFK, so again, you know, we can always do this, send a friend's request, they can respond later. It's not instant. But we do have, again, a quest line right here. As you can see, it is a side quest. we can help slay shrews for 13 wind shards, which is a crafting catalyst. But because we don't really need to do side quests, we can always say those for the other jobs for later on. We're not going to do those. We're actually going to save that for, again, a different job at a different time. So because we are delivering this pumpkin, since Rika did respond, we're going to go with my full character's name, kind of give them an idea of who I am. So now that Rika probably knows, since Rika knows who I am, now we can go ahead and go to Tell, which we'll go ahead and send Tell. So this will lock me into Tell.
Emoji grinning face.
And talk to her. So now that Rika knows who I am, we are getting a how are you from Rika. You know, we're able to go to a how are you and teach you guys about free companies, as well as just going through the main campaign to give you an idea of what's going on. And since somebody did just join the live stream, hello viewer. Again, I'm going to skip over as probably much of the stuff as I can, especially since I've done quite a bit. So right now it's just a matter of we're just gonna go through here, do a little bit of basic stuff. We're gonna take the customer's orders, and the last customer, of course, is outside, away from the restaurant to take an order. Rather, their drinks. So we'll go back inside, turn in the drink slips to Roger, and we'll hand them over. So, because we do have a chance to choose between food or Allegan 10 pieces, which these will sell for 25 gil, we're actually going to go ahead and go with the mustard eggs, just to get the buffs. Again, I mentioned the XP doesn't hurt to have, so we now have our main aggro ability called Flash, which will actually leave Flash on the ability bar. We're going to accept the next quest. So if you remember earlier, for those of you watching the archive video, we're going to go back to Blackbrush Station here in a minute. But first, we're going to go take out some antlings. And again, quest lot, you know, main quest symbol. So we'll take these guys out, and then probably head over to Blackbrush, where I think Roger's going to send us. We have 2 of 5 mandibles down, so we'll keep going. Now, because creatures do have an RNG, which is random number generated, we may not get all of the mandibles we need at once. Oh, food buff right now. So after this fight, we will be eating some marmot steaks. And actually, I think even in combat I can go ahead and eat these, so we're going to go ahead and eat one. Yep, we can. So we now have our food buff again. So yeah, the quest is going to take us, as I said, to Blackbrush Station, which we visited earlier, which is this area that my mouse is scrolling in circles around. Now that we're here, we'll talk to Warren. As you can tell, he's going to give us a little bit of a rundown of what's going on. So once the quest is turned in, but because we aren't intelligence and mind based, we're actually going to go ahead with the leather wristbands. And again, if you recall earlier, recommend gear, equip, which will put the wristbands on, which we actually didn't. So it's probably saying it's because these are better. They're for all classes. They're one of each. So actually, we don't need the leather wristbands at the moment. Even then, we can still sell them. So, because we don't have the right gear, he wants to sell item level 5. We'll go over here. We could purchase weapons, but what we need as a tank is we actually need a shield. So we're going to buy a shield. We're going to equip the cardboard shield, which we're still a little low, so we're going to have to buy some more stuff. We will purchase some battle gear, which we do need a hat. So again, you know, definitely check to make sure it's what we can use. We could always get the bronze chain coif, which I prefer the coif. And we need a belt. Yeah, we don't want to be fighting and our britches fall off, so we're going to go with the leather belt. Which this should put us right where he wants us for this quest. Which is right there, item level 5. You know, nifty little feature to have. So here we can pick several things. We can get the bronze hoplon, which is, again, a shield. But because I did just buy a shield, but this one has a much higher block rate as well as strength rate, we get to keep that. So we're actually going to take the hoplon. We'll equip recommended gear, which right there you can see it already replaced the cardboard looking shield that we bought. Yes, we will help you. I don't know what you want, we will help you. So, we do have Out of the House and Home, which, again, new quest line. So, let's go slay some goblins. Wow, that guy cuts down a tree, or a cactus rather. So, here's what I was talking about. We're going to lure out the goblin. Again, avoid, don't stand in stuff if you don't have to. Now that's done. Nope, we got more. But here's the upside. If you remember the hunting, if I remember right, nope, we're not in the right area, I don't think. So the only thing we need now is Brigand Grave Robbers, Dusty Mongrels, and Antling Soldiers. So we'll keep our eyes out for these guys, and these guys, near Blackbrush. So we got the goblins that he was having a problem with. Let's get out of here. Now, before we go back to Blackbrush, we're actually going to look for those Antling, actually not the Antlings, we're going to look for these friggin' Grave Robbers. Which, if I recall, they're right up here on this hill. Of course, as you can see, the clutch is to our right, so we could actually kill 2 birds, 1 stone, and that's what we'll do. We're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So, there's the Antlings we're looking for, the Antling Soldier. So, because these are fairly higher level than what we're used to, we're going to attack 1 and lure it out. Nope, nope, nope. You're not allowed to hit me with that acid. After all, we don't want to look like a horrible scene from Alien. If the health is low, we'll click a potion to get our health back up to almost full. Take out this antling soldier. Then we just need this one. Which again, if you remember right, I talked about that chain bonus. For those of you who are tuning into the archive file or video. So, now that we got those out, we did get a little bit more XP, as you saw. If you're always curious to how much, you can always go back to the hunting log again and check to see what your progress is. Here, as you can see, we just have the friggin' grave robbers and the dusty mongrels, and we've completed this one for 2,500 XP. So let's go find those friggin' grave robbers real quick over at the graveyard. I believe they're right up here around this corner. So again, this is Blackbrush. If you remember right, the Amalja problem we talked about with Ul'dah, there's the Amalja. They are problematic. Right there is where you can learn to forge materia. For those of you who have yet to ever learn to do that or are interested to learn how to do that and are just starting. So we are in the Blackbrush area. As you can see, the map is telling us that's exactly where we're at. The downside is just finding the Spriggans. That is going to be the toughest part of this whole deal. So, as you can see, so far, no Spriggans, as of yet. Which, there's the anthill, so doubt the Spriggans would be in the anthill. If anything, the Spriggans are going to be over here by these tunnels. Since we know we're in the Nanawa mines, that kind of tells us we're actually in a bit of the wrong area. Since we need to be in the Blackbrush area, so we need to head back towards Blackbrush. Of course, over there, that is a dungeon that you can unlock later in the game. It is actually one that does play a role within the game. Since we couldn't find the Spriggans, which is unfortunate, we're actually going to go ahead and go back towards Blackbrush Station, and we're going to turn in our out of house and home and continue on with our main scenario. Again, you can always do the hunting log at any time. It is there permanently. You don't have to worry about it taking off on you. So now that our quest is done, we do have the option to choose a necklace. Before doing this, let's see what the one we have on is. Our weather choker gives us one of every stat, so what we're going to do this time is, we're not actually going to take that one. We're just going to take the item with Gil. Now that we are level 9, we do get to continue on with our main story. So he wants us to kind of investigate these silver pockmarks, the pockmarked silver ores, which, knowing our luck, they're probably actually going to be goblins. Oh, Spriggans. So these little guys are kind of what we were hunting down. Unfortunately, we couldn't find the ones we needed for the hunt log, which are actually a different type of Spriggan. They're called the grave robbers. So we're going to go ahead and investigate these other three that he asked us to investigate. And from there, we may actually give it one more roll to see if we can find the grave robber Spriggan. Now we will check this one over here and then go over there and get that last one. As you can see, it's just behind us, according to the map. Again, not a big deal. You're not allowed to hit me, you little thing. Now that we have one more, it's safe to assume we're probably actually going to have to level up again, which, again, that will be the hunt log and or fates that we can do to level up. But it will probably be a mix of the two, because we do have some side quests we can complete around the area as well. We got that Spriggan taken care of, our main quest is done. So, we could either go look, go turn our quest in, which we're actually going to go ahead and turn the quest in, we're not going to return. Which, that'll give us 3,240 experience, so it'll put us right about halfway mark, so we will have to get a little bit of XP, especially if that's the end of our main scenario that we can do at the moment. So here, again, we get to choose what we want. Because this Gladiarum does do one more than what we have, we're actually going to go ahead and take it, just to improve ourselves a little bit. So now that that's equipped, we do have this guy we can talk to for our main scenario. And we're going to go ahead and talk to him. So we are going to go talk to Dustin, as this guy's asking. And since he's just down the hill, that's not a big thing, so we can just run down the hill. It never hurts to just run. This is as you can see here, it is outlined in purple for those of you who are not familiar with fates. This quest right here is a fate. You can actually start it. It is a level 7. So, because it is a level 7 fate, let's go ahead and do this. We need the XP anyways, because we are getting where our main scenario is going to cap out before we actually get the proper level. And all we're doing is, we're basically protecting this store from being attacked by B.A.T.G.R that want the wine. So again, we're going to flash, get the aggro, we'll hit Rampart just to reduce the amount of damage we're taking. We're not going to pop both of these buffs at the same time, just for the simple fact we're going to have to spread them out a little better. So that looks like to be our main guy, so we're going to flash, get the aggro, lift the heavy, do some damage. Ooh, I need to give these guys need a pedicure. Manicure even, with those nails. Unfortunately, the only problem we are going to have with this fight is right here, is Savage Blade is causing error so that this heavy cannot pull aggro off. So the potions will have to be managed quite well. And so will the cooldowns, which is why I said in the video just a second ago, we are going to have to work on, or me especially, will have to work on rotating a little bit. It's just for survivability for those of you watching. So, you guys will have to forgive this. Again, because I do not like seeing HP bars, I'm actually going to have to prepare for configuration. Wrong one. So, that was the wrong setting. So, I don't like seeing my HP bar at all, which I'm going to turn off. Especially because right here, that is everything I need to know on the screen. Now, we did get a decent amount of XP. So, we'll talk to Dustin. He's going to send us to give starveling child a cookie. Hand over said cookie. We'll hand over another one. We'll hand over this one as well. And because the quest does require 4, we have one more kid to feed. And there's the last one. So now we have all the kids fed again. We have to go in here and talk to Dustin. So now we got that taken care of. We're going to go ahead and, again, I want everybody to be able to experience the story on their own, so we're going to go ahead and skip that video as well. So we don't have any titles, I can't select any titles, which kind of sucks, but hey. So our newest quest is going to take us down here to those brigands I was telling you all that we were looking for, and we're going to take these guys up with a hunting log. So now we got one more to kill, which, luckily for us, you know, taking out these enemies Again, quest log is worth a decent amount of XP. So we need one more, and then here after a while, we'll go ahead and go to Horizon's Edge, since we're going to have to go to Horizon anyways for the main story. So we are going to help do the main, Wiston with our main scenario. Which again, because this is a main video clip, we'll skip cutscene. Which if you all ever want to skip cutscene, all you gotta do is hit escape and then go from there. Now because it's this big guy, we are going to zoom out decently well just so I can see his attack radiuses. Now one thing all of you should do is, if you are in a big combat deal, definitely zoom out all the way so you can see what's going on. Again, don't stand and stuff, so definitely moved. As you can see, I didn't get out in time, so I took 26 damage. Oh, gotta get out of there. Now that he's down, our quest is complete, and Wiston is, or Wyston, however you say it, is safe. So again, we are going to skip the main video clip because that is a very integral video clip to the main story. Again, skipping this one. Because we do have to speak to Weiss, and we do have to run back to Blackbush, the inn type thing we were at. So we are going to do that right now. So now that we're here, we'll go ahead and turn our quest into Wyston, because it is a main scenario. Which again, main scenario is your main storyline. So now we do get to return to Ul'dah, and we're going to if you remember right, we have this this return option again. It's a lot like WoW's Hearthstone, so we're gonna actually return back. So now we're back in a little die. You can actually zoom in. Just in combat, if for new players, definitely make sure you're zoomed out. It is going to play a major important role, especially in fights like that one where the creature is much bigger than you, which is going to actually be quite a common occasion. So we're going to go in the quicksand and talk to Momodi. Or Momodi, however you prefer to say it. Because again, unfortunately, we cannot skip this, so I will be going through this as fast as I can. Especially because, again, I want everybody to be able to experience the story, especially since it is one of the strongest in Final Fantasy, I think, to this date. Which, here's another way you can level up. Guild leaves are an excellent way, especially if you are not caught up to level to your main scenario. Because none of these we need, we're actually going to go ahead and take the bronze pieces. Since we are level 10, we can actually undergo the main quest, but because we just hit level 10, this is kind of the introductory to what Final Fantasy XIV is. It gives you an idea of what the game's basis is. We're actually going to switch over to my highest level character. We will be taking a brief break to do this, and then I'm going to show you guys what you can expect at higher levels. So we're going to go ahead and log in as my main character. You will see what they were talking about with your recommendations list. So you will see my scholar being played. And with that, we're going to take just a few minute break, and we'll be back with you. Alright, so now that we're ready to continue, I do appreciate everybody's patience. We're actually going to go through and see what higher level stuff is like. So to do this, I'm actually going to run as a Scholar, which is the Arcanist healing version. As I said, the Arcanist has 2 jobs that she can turn into outside of the Arcanist, and one is just happens to be a healer. So that is the one that we're actually going to go with. So that we're going to heal. We're going to go ahead and get our healing summon out, which is Eos. There is 2 of them, for those of you wonder. And we're actually going to queue for trials. So we're going to hit Q. It'll say duty registration complete. As you can see, it's saying it is waiting for a match, which I found one, so we're good on that. So one of the things you are going to notice is we have a lot more actions at higher levels than we do at lower levels. So you're going to see quite a bit more coming out of this character than you did on Shinto. So first of all, we are going to cast Protect. Even though somebody has already cast it, unfortunately we are probably going to have to cast it again since there are people still watching the cutscenes. Now that everybody's out, even though somebody's already cast it, we're going to cast it one more time just to make sure everybody's got a fresh start. So the major thing I did mention earlier is zooming out for some fights that are going to be a little bigger than expected. And this one is a perfect example of this. This is a fight known as the Thought. It is called Thought as Thought. So we're actually going to go ahead and do this one. Now the downside is we do have 2 summoners, or scholars, so we are going to have to worry about overlapping spells. Now the nice thing about playing a scholar, for those of you who are wondering what job might be best for you, Scholars can double up as both a healer and a DPS. Unfortunately, I am not using the cleric stance because I don't know what this other healer plans on doing. So for now, we aren't going to do that. As you can remember, I mentioned sending out stuff is a really good idea, and that is why, because these fights do have a lot going on, so zooming out is extremely important. I do apologize for everybody that is watching. I am having no focus a little bit. This is one of the harder fights to kill at this point. Because that is the job we're playing, is we are playing it killer. So what I'm doing here with Sacred Soil, for those of you who are curious about the scholars, I'm putting down an area where players will take 10% less damage while they're inside the circle. It only lasts for a few seconds, but at the same time, it is a great ability, especially for that 15 seconds, because that 15 seconds that you're healing is not going to be as required near as much as it normally would. This is actually what we consider a trial transition or a new phase. This is actually how Ravana takes us into his new phase. So the fight is actually going to dramatically change from the fight that was. Again, even in this phase, we do have some of the same stuff happening, even though the fight does seem to drastically change. Now, after completing a dungeon, for those of you who just watched the Ravana fight, what you can do is you can do what's called a player commendation, which is you pick a player who you think you did the best. Because I do think Chisu Su did a really good job as a tank. I'm actually going to pick Chisu Su, since they haven't left, and give them their commendation for a good job as a tank, which allows the game to recognize their completions as a good tank or a good healer. So with that one completed, we're actually going to take a peek back at main scenario quest lines, which we are going to actually do as what I mentioned earlier, as a summoner. So we're going to switch classes to summoner. As you can see, not much has changed in my bars, except for that my scholar abilities are gone, and also I have different summonings. I have what's called Eggies, which this one is Titan, which is also considered one of the finest in the game. I do warn you, if you are going to continue watching from this point until I mention where to skip forward down in the comments or the more info, you will want to tune out, as this is main scenario quest line, so you will be seeing some of the stuff leading up towards the end of Heavensward. As you can see, I am level 58, so I'm at that point where it is time for me to start doing so. So we are going to talk to Sid. For those of you wondering, yes, Sid is he's literally in every Final Fantasy game. So there is always a Sid, and will always, I hope to have a Sid. So now we gotta figure out where the airship landing is. It's over in the pillars. This Port Waterfountain has seen much, much better days. As you can see here, Final Fantasy XIV does feature much different and much more scenic
where countless
experiences than the previous content, and that's what
uncharted.
makes this game really unique, is the fact that it is much like other Final Fantasy games where it does grow and it does change with time. So this is definitely one of those you're getting a lot to look forward to later in.
And the unmasked villain who sought to claim its secrets.
And also, if you can't tell, this is Moogle themed.
Oblivious to the new threat which followed in their wake, they came.
So one thing that is important, because I know people are going to be curious, especially those of you watching this, is flying possible in a later game. The one thing is, flying is completely possible. It does exist, but you have to find these things called Aether Currents. Once you find every single one of them in its own, which you can see right here, this will tell you how many you need, or if you're missing. You can see in some areas I'm missing up to 1 to 2. You're allowed to fly once you've unlocked all those Aether Currents. So, for me, I only have to go back to find a couple more, which I will show you flying later on. There are specific amounts you have to have. So we'll definitely take a peek at that here after a while. But now that you have seen a low-level character in comparison to a high-level character, we're going to do a little bit of the high-level, what's called a main scenario quest, and we're going to just basically enjoy that a little bit and take a peek of what you have to look forward to in the much later game. So we're going to go over here and we're going to talk to somebody that you'll meet after a while in the starting game named Alphanon. He will become a prominent character in your storyline, and so he's definitely somebody to become familiar with. So now that we've done Lookout over there, and we're looking for Soul L, now it's time for us to go up here, where this red circle is, and we're going to do Lookout once more. As you can see, I'm having to type the emote Lookout to do this story, so we're going to do it again, just as familiar faces request of us. And because it is a duty, we're going to click OK and accept it. Oh, we got some big baddies we gotta fight. Looks like we're gonna actually have a fight on our hands. If you remember right, I mentioned earlier that we have this enemy that we called the Garland Empire. These guys, where he said the Imperials, those are the guys we were talking about, and they will actually play a very big role throughout Final Fantasy XIV. So, first thing I'm going to do is, because my summon does have a couple of buffs of its own, I'm actually going to pop those buffs on this summon, just to soup him up a little bit.
Taliak, protect me!
there is a healing. So one thing all of you will need to remember is there are enemies that are healers, and they will be one of your top priorities to take out. Especially since these guys will constantly heal their fellow enemies, I should say. Because I am getting low on health. Oh, Alphanot healed me. One thing I am going to do is I am going to go over here, believe it or not, and actually help Alphanot. As you can see here, I'm also getting an XP called Arcanus XP. This means that I'm getting XP not just for my summoner, but if I were to take off, say, my soulless summoner, I'd be getting XP for both Scholar and Summoner, so the double support here is actually really nice, especially for those of you that recall me talking about that earlier. It's definitely something you'll really appreciate and definitely enjoy later in. Now that we've helped Vanu, let's go ahead and actually join him, because I actually think it'd be kind of interesting to meet this new species of creatures. So just as I said, you know, we were going to go visit the village, so Alphanod's going to send us there anyway, so let's go visit this village. If you recall, I remember I stated something about beast riding. You actually see the behemoth beast that I got from the mail earlier on my other character, Shinto. So we're going to wander off. And while we're at it, we're actually going to look for Aether Currents. As you can see here, we just found an Aether Current, so we're going to unmount. Titan's still there. Titan's ability, which the nice thing about Summoner is all creatures, especially if you summon them, they all have unique abilities, and Titan's big one is he causes a giant AoE attack that leaves a dot. Titan held up so that he has full. He's not taking near as much damage. Now we're out of combat, I can go ahead and heal Titan some more with this Aether Current. Go ahead and summon the Behemoth once more. And we're going to head on down to this village, I believe is where we're supposed to be heading. But again, we're still going to keep our eyes out, especially for Aether Currents, because those are really important later on, since they allow quick travel around the zones. Because even though once you complete the game, there are going to be quests that will take you back through these zones, and quite a bit. So keeping our eyes out for aether currents is going to be a really important thing to do. Looks like we may have to fight these creatures. So now we're at the Lano Vanu's questline. Let's talk to Lano Vanu. Or Vandu. So his name, or no, his name is Vandu. Vanu. As you can tell, the story actually gets really interesting, especially because there is a lot going on. The nice thing about Heavensward, I really stress to people, is Heavensward is really creative. It has one of the most unique and most enjoyable stories, but also the new areas and zones are absolutely amazingly well built. Even the music itself has been sharply fine-tuned, so it's definitely enjoyable. And again, one thing you want to do is, even in towns, you're going to want to search for the aether currents, because they do exist. I've actually found some in towns before. So we're gonna accept this quest. We'll talk to Lonnie when we go. As I said, right there, Aether Currents can be hidden throughout the towns. So we're definitely going to go grab this Aether Current and attend to it, especially since I would like to be flying sooner than later. Again, we are going to look down, make sure there's no down there. Because the Aether Currents, as I said, there are only so many, and if you aren't sure about them, you can still go down here and check where you stand. For where we're at right now, which is the Sea of Clouds, I only have 3 of the needed ones. So we'll definitely have to work on that. Which some of them will be unlocked by a side quest, some of them will be unlocked by exploration, so it's a come and do as needed ordeal. But because we do have a quest to do, we're going to go ahead and go over here where he wants us to do, which is come up here to Kunu Valley. And he wants us to bow to Kunu Valley. So let's go find Kunu Valley real quick, which is this guy right here. And we're just simply going to type /bow. We're too far, so we'll get a little closer, and now we'll try one more time. If I could type, that would help too.
Hello Frey. Thank you for tuning in.
As you can all see, I have gotten decently in the game with this character. I do want to thank all of you for tuning in. I'm actually going to cut off the stream here, since you have 3 hours of an idea of what to look forward to, but we're also going to be doing some other videos with Shinto, the low-level character. I do hope this has brought some of your interest in, and has gotten you excited for Stormblood as much as it has me. But for now, I am going to be cutting off the stream. I will be doing another one here soon. Again, thank you for tuning in to Blast Away the Game Review. I am your host, Dustin Murphy. If you have any questions, please visit our website, our Twitter, or our Facebook page, and please feel free to get a hold of us. Again, thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful evening.